Hello, everybody. Today on Every Day is Friday podcast 365, I have Marc as a guest. He is a poet, philosopher, and one of the most consciously aware spoken word artists of our time. He's performed in over 150 cities, and his work dives deep into ego, love, and consciousness, and the nature of reality. I'm excited to have you on the show, Marc.
I appreciate you, Matthew. Thank you for having me, man. I'm looking forward to it, for real.
No, it's my pleasure. And for the listeners who may not be familiar with your line of work yet, can you give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do?
Man, who am I and what I do, man? That thing always changes. Long story short, I'm mostly known for being a spoken word artist, but I mean that could be changing. A poet, which is I've been doing that for I don't know 20 something years and performed all around the country. But writing poetry is led through other things. I write novels. I write books on consciousness and psychedelics. And I'm also an animator, which I had no business to even dreaming about thinking of doing. But I came up with this idea called Gurus, and it's an animated philosophical parody with like Gandhi, Buddha, Jesus, Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, and I twisted personalities. Like Buddha has anger issues, Gandhi's filthy rich. So I taught myself how to animate. And then, I created this cartoon, and from there, now I'm a podcaster. So, my life has, I find, we're only affected by our experiences. And I try to, when it comes to art, I try to be like Jim Carrey and Yes Man. Like, you never know what art will lead you to the next phase or next thing. I just when an artful idea hits me, even though I'm a poet by heart, I don't shut it down. I'm like, oh, let's see where this can bubble up and go. So
I love
basically.
that.
Yeah. So that's me in a nutshell, I would say, right now with all the artistic endeavors that I have going on.
Now, Marc, can you take us back to how did your journey into like spoken word and poetry first begin?
Man, it was an accident. Dude, when I was 20 years old, around 20, I was playing basketball, but no, I was 21, and I blew out my back, and I was in college in Atlanta. And my parents, and I was 20, and my parents wanted to come down and get me a computer. So this is obviously a long time ago. So this ain't recent. So but they said my mother was like, "Hey, we want to get you a computer." And I was like, "Nah, I'm cool." She was like, "You don't need a computer?" I'm like, "Nah, it takes up space in my apartment." I was like, "If I need to do my papers, I can just go to the school." I was so aligned with being a bachelor at the time that I was like, I don't want any desktop, any table, in my place. So stupid. So they came down to visit me, and I walked in the house one day, and the apartment, and they were in the corner putting together a table. And I was like, "What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?" He was like, "Yeah, we got your computer. We felt that you could do your work." I was like, "No, man, y'all wasted your money. You wasted your money." I was like adamant about it too. I was like, "You wasted your money. You could have gave it to me. I'm not gonna use it." Come to find out, man, I've used that computer more than anything in my life.
Marc, what's the bigger lesson there?
The bigger lesson, man, is you never know. It's kind of like it's like the Chinese farmer in a sense, just different. The Chinese farmer is a sense you never know where your misdeeds will lead you to your fortunes. This wasn't a misdeed, but you never know where your opportunities will lead you to your fortunes. And so that's the bigger lesson in it for me, because that changed my life. I started writing a novel like 2 months later. I started dabbling on it. I was in this relationship with this young lady, and I was like, man, let me just get my ideas out. And a page became 2 pages, and 2 pages became a chapter, and a chapter became a book. And I don't like the book. I never did nothing with it, but it was to show me that, hey, you can actually sit down and actually write a book, which I know a lot of people haven't done. So I was like, wow, this may be something. And I enjoyed it. And it just took a life from its own. From there, I wrote a poem at the end of the book to give to give a feeling of the whole book in shorter. And so this is where my poetry career started. We had extra credit in class, and I was like on borderline. Even though I was on borderline, the teacher said we have an open mic. There's an open mic on Clark University, and you'll get extra credit if you come and perform something you wrote. I had never even been in anything like the setting, but I was so into my writing at the time that I was still late for it. So I went up there, 10 minutes left in the thing, and I'm like, hey, Mr. Yancey, can I perform? And I'm here. He was like, oh man, no, what you doing? You want to get on you? 10 minutes left. I was like, come on, Mr. Yancey, please. I've been writing. I got 3 books I've written. I got 300 poems. And then he looked at me. He was like, you've been writing? I was like, yeah. Please, can I get on? He was like, let me see this. So he looked at my poem. He looked at my poem. He looked at me. He looked at my poem. He looked at me. He's like, bring this to class tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, can I still get the extra credit? He was like, man, bring this to class tomorrow. He's like, no, you ain't getting on there. So the next day, I brought the poem to class. As soon as I walked in, he was like, all right, class, we're going to do something different today. Now, mind you, this man has a curriculum. This man teaches his classes. We knew our assignments each day, Monday, Tuesday. We knew from the end of the semester. This man said, we're going to do something different today. And Mark brought a poem, and we're going to go over it. This man stopped his class and went line for line for the whole class and taught the class my poem. I'm literally sinking in the seat like, what? Like, you like this bullshit? Like, I'm literally embarrassed. Like, you like this? And he's like, man, ain't nobody writing like this from here to Chicago. And not only did he stop that class, he asked me to bring back some more work, and he taught my work for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. He stopped teaching his regular class. For 2 weeks, he taught them my poetry. And that was what, when someone else other than your parents tell you, hey, you did a good job, it sinks in a little bit more. And that's when it hit me. I was like, whoa, maybe this is something. And then from
No,
there,
that's incredible how one experience can change everything for you. Now, for the
yeah.
people who may not know your work yet, what do you usually write about?
My writing has changed through the years. When I first started, I was like the Black political revolutionary writer. And after about like a year or two, I said to myself, I was like, I don't want to be known as the Black political revolutionary writer. I want to be known as a writer. And so then I broaden all my topics. But I would say now my forte now really is awareness, consciousness, metaphysics, anything that just gets you thinking about self-realization. Because self-realization, when you realize the self, that is actually when you can change the world. Like, you can't change someone else. You change someone else by changing yourself. So, because people mimic each other. So if I look at it like, if I can bring enough awareness to myself and see where A connects to B and yada, 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 and I'm seeing that within myself, maybe others can see that as well within themselves. So my writing now really, it's forte around conscious awareness and metaphysics.
Now, circling off that, Mark, what is ego and how does it get in the way of understanding who we really are?
Ego is just a troubleshooter. I feel that we misrepresent the ego and think that is all negative and all bad. I don't think that at all. I think it's just selfish, but not selfish in the way how we look at it. It's selfish in the way that it wants to either protect or better itself. Now, when I say better itself, because it does better itself, when you want to be a better writer, that's the ego. When you want to be a better listener, that's the ego. When you want to be a better lover, a better cooker, all those things are the ego. And that's fine. The ego is just a trouble mechanism. It's a troubleshooter. It's a survival mechanism. So while the ego is also selfish in the way that it may block you, in the sense that it may, lead you to becoming selfish in other areas that may bring negativity, it also leads you into other areas that may bring positivity. So I feel we just the ego is like a pet. Actually, the ego is like AI to me. Like, you don't let the ego run you, you run it. And the more you realize it's a pet, the more you can operate with it. 'Cause like a pet, you don't let your dog just get underneath the covers with you, what some people do. But anyway.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, understanding ego helps us get out of our own way.
Yeah, exactly. So you never let the ego lead. People let the ego lead. You just let the ego be there. You listen to it, you hear it, and you decide if it's making sense or not. That's the thing. A lot of times we give up our freedom to things like that.
Now, Mark, Can you explain what DMT is for someone who's never heard of it before for me?
Yeah, no doubt. DMT is short for dimethyltryptamine. It is the most potent hallucinogenic known to man. And in fact, when you experience with it, you kind of realize, once you experience with it, you feel that it's not a hallucinogenic. You kind of start to realize or think that this reality is the hallucinogenic. But DMT is found in almost every living organism. It's believed to be found in your brain. It's believed to be found in a blade of grass. But when you do this, there's different forms of DMT. There's two types of DMT, but there's three ways of going about it. Actually, maybe more in terms of DMT now, because someone told me there was like a 4 DMT or something that I was like, okay, but let me just tell you the basic three that most people would understand. First of all, there's two types of DMT. There is NN-DMT, like the letter, like the for the number 9, NN-DMT, and then there's 5-MeO-DMT. When people just say DMT, they're talking about NN-DMT. Now, when people are talking about 5-MeO-DMT, they will specifically say either Bufo or 5-MeO-DMT. Even though it's DMT, they will either say Bufo or 5-MeO-DMT. Now, 5-MeO is the synthetic version of Bufo. Bufo is the frog. The frog where they extract the DMT from the head of the frog, from the scalp of the frog. And but chemically, synthetically, it's the same thing when you make it in a lab to how you extract it from the frog. Now, the difference in NN-DMT and 5-MeO-DMT is that the NN-DMT, it's more visual, less feeling. The 5-MeO-DMT, it's more feeling, less visual. And then there's ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is the drinking form of DMT. Both the regular DMTs that I just said are smoking forms, but the ayahuasca is the drinking form of NN-DMT. And that experience lasts for about, 5 to 8 hours. But the smoking form, the regular NN-DMT, it lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes. And the 5-MeO-DMT lasts for, if you take the deep dive, they say the deep dive is like the death experience. And for me, it lasts for about like 20 minutes, even though it felt like 2. But there's nothing more revealing, nothing more eye-awakening, nothing more gives you the sense of connectedness than DMT. I will say that DMT has broke me open. It has broken me. It has taken me to the bottom. And and some things, I tell people no one is more tormented than the messenger. Because the people who talk about it or relay it, we make it pretty. I tell people, knowledge isn't meant to be pretty. Pretty is for beauty pageants. It's humans that want to make things beautiful and put a ribbon around it. But knowledge is knowledge. If you can digest it, then you can. It's that simple. DMT is I would say probably is the backbone to what has opened me up to some of the things that I think I understand now.
Now, Mark, what has DMT personally taught you about existence and consciousness?
Everything. Well, I don't know where to start.
Deep question.
I used to have, Matthew, I used to have a lot of questions. I used to cry myself to sleep at night when I was younger because I was afraid of death. I ain't afraid of death no more. And I don't have any more questions. At least the type of questions that I did. The type of questions that I have now it's just like, it's whatever. But for me, what it has opened me up to is made me understand how connected that I am to everything, how everything is connected to me, and how there really is no difference in it. It's just a human thinking that it is different. I would say around I've done DMT maybe around 80 times or so. Now, for me, my experiences with it, I started with it in like 2000, like 9, I think, 2010, 2009, something like that. But just so you know, my experiences with it, even though it's been 80 times, that's about 15 years ago. But in the first month, I did it 20. In the first year, I did it 50. So I'm saying that to put things in perspective. It's like, okay, he was searching. It's not like I'm just doing this all the time. In the past 14 years, if you take all that, I did it like maybe 30 times. And there's been 5 years where I didn't even touch it. So, but for me, what it has opened me up to, and just to get a note on it, the thing is the opposite of addictive. If it was, I couldn't have went 5 years without touching it, because I had a lifetime supply sitting 5 feet away from me, and I never touched it. People who are heroin users, you can't do that. You cannot have heroin around you. But for me, what it has done, I would say around the 50th time or so, the experience that now really is the grounding understanding of what I think, like everything comes from this seed. And the seed is that God, the infinite, the creator, whatever you want to call it, knowing everything is boring. And if you're everything, you're everywhere. And if you're everywhere, you're everything. And if you're everything, you're one thing. And if you're one thing, you're alone. And so if you're alone and you are the ultimate creator and you have ultimate knowledge, there's nothing new to wonder. There's, no mystery. That is suicide for a creator with that magnitude, because you can't create. You can't create when you know everything. Creation comes from mystery. It comes from not knowing. It comes from searching. It comes from trying to get somewhere. So when you know everything, when you're ultimately creator, and you, like I said, you can't create, even though that's what you want to do. So the only thing you can do, is to forget you know everything. And the only way you can have an experience, if you are everything, is to forget you are everything and to break yourself down into quote unquote souls. Matthew, Mark, whoever else is listening. All these are extensions, or it's like a drop in the water. A drop of water in the ocean still holds all the minerals of the ocean. So that's what we are. We're just broken down. We are God experiencing itself in multiple infinite ways, so it can remember itself. That is the foundation of everything that I think I understand. And everything from there, everything that I think I understand comes from that. And if you've been paying attention, you can see that I'm very careful with my words. Like, I know nothing. I could be completely delusional. Even though what I think I know, I think I know it more than the thing is I knew 20 years ago. And even though 20 years ago I was speaking more absolute, I'm still very careful with my words, because this information, I feel, I try not to treat this information like church or gospel. That can turn a lot of people off. And also, I see a lot of people have misconstrued a lot of things, in my opinion, in the text. So the way to bring them in is to let people know, look, it's okay to question, and it's okay not to know everything. And I tell people to question everything I'm saying. Do not take my word for it. Go do your own research. Go do your own journey. Matter of fact, look at me like you don't believe me. I don't care. Look, prove me wrong. That'd be great. Prove me wrong. Go have your own journey. All I'm doing is just relaying the information and how I see it from my little aspect pebble from this infinite space. I was saying that those are little things in a nutshell what DMT has taught me. Of course, it's taught me be more loving. When you see yourself in everything, you almost have, I won't say you have no choice, but it lowers your guard, and you see yourself in everything, and you do become more loving when you see everything is connected. So it's just really, man, it has really made me, it's made me all right with being human, actually. God honest truth, it has made me okay with being human. It's also made me okay with the things that I don't understand. That it's also made me okay with my hang-ups, like if I don't like something, I don't like something, and I'm totally fine with that. Instead of thinking that I have to be this zenful person, and no, like with that, we get that misconstrued too, in my opinion. We come with these human emotions. We are here to be human. Yes, we get mad. It's okay. Get mad. Like, it's a chemical reaction. Understand that. Get into that. Embrace that. What is that? Okay, cool. Did you have that feeling? Okay, now, are you ready to put that in the past? Now you understand that. So we are here to have these human experiences. And so it's really made me okay with being human. you know?
No, that's very good advice. I mean, that can be life changing for some people. Mark, can you unpack that a little bit? How you see yourself and everything?
Well, like I was saying, if you understand that you are the same minerals, we're all stardust. You know, like science in itself says that. Like we all come from, we're made up the same thing. So if we're made up the same thing physically, in a sense, and then if I have these understandings that not just being made from the same thing, but even awareness cosmically, we're the same thing, just broken down thinking we're not. It lets you see that you're doing it to yourself, whatever you do, whatever love you put out, whatever harm you put out. For instance, there are people that I don't enjoy being around. And in one of my experiences with the 5-MeO, it was like, boy, do you know how lucky you are to have people around you that you don't like? It's like, you know what's worse than that? Nothing. And this is how it talks to me. It talks to me very aggressively. I think maybe because, I don't know, maybe it knows I can take it, or maybe I actually enjoy it. I don't know. But it's like, do you know how lucky you are to have people around you that you don't like? You know what's worse than that? Nothing. Do you want me to show you what nothing around you feels if you're the one thing and everywhere? And this thing let me feel. Woo, let me tell you, man. And this thing is psychedelics is not for the weak of mind, especially 5-MeO. This thing let me feel what it would feel like to be the only thing in existence and to have been the only thing in existence for eternity. And I cannot tell you the feeling of that loneliness, man, that it was overwhelming. And like I say, psychedelics are not for the weak of mind. But with that experience, man, boy, I tell you, it makes me so thankful to have an illusion that there's something else other than one thing. Even if I don't enjoy being around it, like it said to me, do you know how lucky you are to have people around you that you don't enjoy or talk to? So even it hasn't changed my interaction with them, but it's changed how deeply it may affect me inside. You know, I'm like, oh. And I say that it didn't change my reaction or interaction with them because it is everything has its learning courses or guides, and just because you're not, there's different levels. There's different levels of interactions with people. As long as you're not being harmful to another person, that's, I look at it like you are doing just with yourself. So if I was being harmful to these people that I enjoy being around, then I would look in the mirror about it. But if I'm just simply like indifferent, then bringing no harm or no productivity, I guess, then I look at that as fine. I look at it, the only in my understanding, whenever you are intruding on someone else's life, when you're ever intruding your ideals on someone else's life and they are resistant to it, that is where I feel that it is you're overstepping your boundaries in another person's life. But the DMT, though, the psychedelics, has just, like I said, it's made me totally okay with being human. It's made me okay with my hangups. It's funny because I remember when I first started understanding some of this stuff. It was about 10 years ago, and we were at Agape in Los Angeles. And my friend was looking at Michael Beckworth on stage. And Michael Beckworth was like a preacher, New Age preacher, something like that. And he said to me, he was like, yeah, see, that's how you need to do it. And I was looking, and at first I nodded my head. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it just sat with me a little bit later on that day. And I was like, no, I don't need to do this like Michael Beckworth. I want to do this how I want to do it, how I think I understand it. And that's okay. Everything is okay, you know, as long as, like I said, it's made me totally okay with being human.
No, that's a powerful way to look at it. I mean, we're all a drop in the bucket, like you were saying. With you doing DMT over 80 times, Mark, what's your biggest takeaway from it? I mean, why do you do it so many times?
I was searching. And matter of fact, like the breakdown in how I told you my course over 20 times in the first month, 50 times in the first year, it's actually told me after about, I've got messages from it telling me to go do the work after about like the 50th, 60th time that I've done it. It was like, look, like it took me to a place it took me to this empty room, and it was basically telling me, showing me that there used to be information all in this room, and the information was valuable, and it was so valuable that it had gold bars in the room. That's what it was relaying to me. Now it's completely empty. And then all of a sudden I heard a voice, and it said to me, it said, Mark, you've taken everything out of here. Now go do the work. So the number that I've reached was because I was searching. And once there's a quote by Alan Watts that I live by. It's like, when you get the message, hang up the phone. And I look at that a little bit with DMT. I love DMT. There is nothing that I endorse or have experienced that was more exhilarating than DMT, but I also respect the hell out of it. So when it tells me, dude, like, you're missing the trip, which is this. Life is the trip. So when it tells me, dude, you're missing the trip right now by thinking you need to be over here all the time. Somehow you're missing it. The point is to be human, to be in your own skin, and to enjoy it. And so when that came about, it like I said, I respect the hell out of it. So I try to, if I go back in now, which I haven't done it in a year, it's not just for searching. It's more like if it calls me. Like I may administer, I may guide someone else, and they may want me to do it with them. Or depending on how the room is, I can see that it may be opening up or calling me to do it. And then that's when I'll do it. Like I don't just do it now. That just doing it doesn't call for me no more. Like, I understand I got what I was searching for. So now I'm just trying to relay or express what I think I understand from it.
No, that's a beautiful way to think about how everything is connected. But what is the biggest takeaway? Are we here to create as humans?
Yeah, that is the number one thing, creation, however that goes, whether that's creating new life, whether that's creating new intelligence, whether that's creating art. We are just here to create, period. Like, it is as simple as that. We're here to create, and we're here to interact with each other. That is the simplest things to it. We make life more complex than what it is. The answers are very simple. It's the questions that are complex, but the answers are very simple. We're here to create, and we're here to interact with each other. And interact with each other doesn't always mean like in a loving way. And I say that because, through like there's a parable by the Chinese farmer, and interacting, however that interacting still gets us this way. And what I mean by that is the parable by the Chinese farmer. The Chinese farmer, he had a horse, and the horse ran away, and his neighbors came by, and the horse would help him in the field with the crops. And his neighbors came by. I was like, man, we heard about your horse. That's so unlucky. The Chinese farmer said, yeah, maybe. Then the next day, that horse came back with 3 more wild horses. So now he had 4 horses to help him in the fields. And his neighbors came by. I was like, man, that's great. You're so lucky. He said, yeah, maybe. Then the next day, his son, who would help him in the fields with the crops, was riding one of the wild horses, fell and broke his leg. Neighbors came by. I was like, man, we heard about your son. Man, that's so unlucky. Chinese farmer? Yeah, maybe. Then the very next day, a big civil war broke out in the country. The government was knocking on doors, knocked on this Chinese farmer's door. It's like, we need your son to come fight right now. He's like, my son can't fight. He's like, what do you mean? His leg is broke. They looked, like, man, whatever. Neighbors came by. He's like, wow, your son's life was spared while everybody's children are going to war. Like, your son's gonna live. You're so lucky. You know what the Chinese farmer said? Yeah, maybe. So that's what I mean by that, like, in the sense that you never know what highs are going to lead you to your lows, and what lows are going to lead you to your highs. And life is about an ever-continuing stream of getting you to where you're going. So life is just about interaction with each other and about creating. And through interacting with each other, eventually we will all get on the same page. It's almost, I find, I think about this a lot because there's some people that I may not be fond of when I see them through social media, but I know, just like in a lot of other times, when you may not be fond of someone, but then you meet that person in person, the interaction changes, and you don't have the same opinion that was forming in your head. So I say that to say we're here to interact with each other, because the more we interact with each other, the more we'll see we don't have as many differences as we think we do.
No, that's a powerful way to look at it. And do you think the universe has a a role for each and every individual out there?
And then we're getting into like I guess fate or destiny in a sense. Yes, but I think it's convoluted. I think we understand it simplistically. I think this universe is operated on like a choose your own adventure book. What I mean by that is in a choose your own adventure book, every possibility can happen. Like there is a possibility that I could go off and be president. There's another possibility I could go off and I don't know, just be, I don't know, an astronaut. Like, from this point here, from right now in my life, there's another possibility where I could go off and I don't know, just do something crazy. And I think all these possibilities exist in the ether. So with that, it's kind of a case of free will and no free will. There's no free will because all possibilities exist. But there is free will because you have the choice to choose which possibility you want, which road you go down. I actually saw a video like a couple weeks ago by Bashar, I think, and he was saying how we are glitching into billions and billions of reality like every second or something like that. When he said that, I was like, man, that kind of makes sense because in my understanding of what I think I understand, if all possibilities exist and we're just choosing where to go, then every millisecond is a choice and you're choosing which ones you're going to operate on. So does the universe have a destination or a story for us? Yes, it does. But does it allow us to choose our own story? Yes, it does. The universe has any story we want for ourselves, but we get to choose which story we want for ourselves. So I kind of think it's and in my understanding, this reality exists off of duality, the yin and the yang, the sour and the sweet, the good and the bad. So that would also make sense to me that free will, no free will, everything is duality. Everything is the yin and the yang. Everything is light and dark. I see that just with the makings of the universe. You need the opposite of the other to understand what something means to you. Like if you're only just happy the whole time, you don't know what happiness is. You have to have sadness or grief to understand what happiness is. If you're only in grief the whole time, you don't know what that is. You have to have happiness to understand what grief is. Yeah.
No, Mark, that makes sense. And could you unpack what the ether is, and can anyone tap into it?
Yeah, I mean, we're all tapping in the ether. Like the ether is just, the ether to me is just another name for basically empty space, but I don't think nothing is empty. I think everything is connected. And it's just putting it out there in the ether to circulate. And if everything is connected, if you put out an idea, if you say something or thought, if you're putting it out into the ether, into the empty space, being that everything is connected, it's connecting. So so it will circulate and get to it. Just like you say, you speak things into existence. So if you speak things into existence, like spelling, your words are spells. So, if you just put it into the ether, if everything is connected, then it's kind of like you're pouring something into the water. Like if you pour coloring into the water, then that water starts circulating and changes the color of the water a little bit because everything is connected. That's kind of how I look at it when I say you put something into the ether, you're pouring it into the water, and then that will just start circulating and start coloring the water differently. In simplistic terms, that's how I understand it.
No, I love that definition because I actually have a formula for manifestation. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but what I use is I imagine it and basically it goes up into the ether, like you're kind of saying there, and then I take action towards it and then I manifest it over time. That's the equation I use.
Really, you tell me your process, please. Educate me, man, for real, because I need to work on my manifestation skills. What do you do? What's your process?
Gratitude is huge, and
Yeah.
I don't like to speak about what I do to everyone, but if I have an imagination and if I have the type of mindset towards something like this podcast, for example, I manifested it first. The 20th episode, the 100th episode, and I can imagine me feeling in the moment, me doing it, me having the interviews, me doing it over time. It's about the journey, not the destination, but the personal development throughout the journey. Put yourself in that situation. Imagine yourself in that seat, living it, doing it, and then take action towards that. and then over time it kind of manifestations itself over time. And Mark, I really want to ask you, what role do you believe love plays in shaping the universe?
I think humans, in my understanding, misconstrue the idea of love. I think the universe operates on acceptance, and I think we misconstrue that for love. Love to me is an action. Acceptance is no action. It's just acceptance. And love, in my understanding, acceptance can be misconstrued for love. I mean, because to love, you have to accept. So there is an ingredient of acceptance in love. But the universe is just all accepting, or God, or consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, understand with it. It's accepting to, like, however you go about it, whatever you're going to do, that's going to happen. But there are consequences to it. I don't think there's condemnation to it. I think there's consequences to it. Just like there's consequences to everything, because there is no action without a reaction. There is no reaction without an action. So, but love, with that said about love, I do think it is the most powerful action there is. But as far as the universe, I think the universe is designed to just to accept exactly what it is. However you want to go about it and treat it and do this about it, you're going to blow up the planet. All right, fine. I accept it. That's what you're going to do. Whoa, what a doozy. Like, there isn't countless of others out there in the universe. But so I think we misconstrue, and I understand this. Humans want to do this. I've done. I'm pretty sure I'm still screwing up a lot of stuff with my understanding of this. But I think we look at it as like this. We like to put fairy tales and mask everything in beauty, which I understand that. Well, really, everything is beauty. Even something that you find not beauty, it's only a perspective, a personal view on it. It's still just as pretty and beautiful as anything else. But with that said, we like to ignore things that make us uncomfortable, or things that challenge us in the aspect of that actually being the best thing for us. And we sometimes don't look at that as love. So with that said, my understanding is that the construct of this, and it is built off of accepting whatever happens in this. Because I think if it wasn't accepting of whatever happens in this, then that is when it becomes controlling. If you're not accepting, if you're like, no, I don't want this to happen that way, then that is when you are subliminally tinkering with the stuff. And then when you're subliminally tinkering with the stuff, then that means we don't have the free will that we think we do. So I think this is just based on accepting whatever happens. It's kind of like, hey, it's in your hands. What you gonna do with it, in a sense?
No, that's a great takeaway. I believe if you have a mindset that's negative, you're going to attract that negativity towards you.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful, your mind. It's very, very powerful. A lot of people don't even understand how powerful their mind is. For me personally, I've never taken DMT or anything like it before, but, I could just speculate on this. I think we're here to create and feel every emotion and just have any and every type of reaction to life as a whole. What's your take on it?
No, I completely agree. We are here to experience these emotions. We are here to be human. We aren't here to be God. We aren't here to be an alien. We are here to be human. And to be human comes with all these human emotions. Oh, we get upset. We love. We're crying. Oh, this person hurt my feelings. Oh, this person made me mad. Totally fine. We're here to be human. How are you going to deal with them emotions? How are you going to react to them? That's all it is. And really, awareness is simple to me, man. People get this so misconstrued. I don't even like the word enlightenment, because enlightenment to me is just information. But the answers are simple. We are here to be aware, and we are here to. Awareness is nothing but understanding that you affect something else. What I mean by that is, if you are aware, you can think for thyself, and you understand that quote unquote awake. I don't even like that word, awake. Awake is just realizing that you affect the other and the other affects you. It's seeing where everything is connected. That is all that is. Awake is understanding that you have a choice. Awake is understanding that you could say something negative to me right now, and my chemical reaction to that will automatically make me feel a certain way in here. Like your body feels it, your body feels a certain way. Being awake, being aware is understanding that I have a choice not to operate automatically, not to operate how the chemical reaction in my body is now connecting to my brain and telling me how I want to react. Being awake is realizing that, wow, this is making me feel like this. But you know what? If I react this way, it could go to A, B, and C. But if I react this way, it could go to D, E, and F. Or if I don't react at all, something else could come about. Let me sit with this. That's all being awake or aware is that simple. But I would say 99% of the people don't operate in that matter. They operate chemically or automatically, and which I have too, but plenty of times. I mean, especially in some of my relationships, when they say some of the craziest things.
No, that's such a good point. And Mark, I've been there too, and I actually been there so much that I have on the back of my wall back there, don't let your emotions control your reality.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. And they do and I think that is the game in a sense to that's one aspect of the game, to understand that your emotions will chemically make you feel like reacting to something. But if you are this high consciousness level, if you do come from source, you have the awareness to make a choice and to do whatever you want with that, and to understand what leads to what, and this can lead to here and that, and you know what? Let me make a more thoughtful decision. Let me make a more awake, a more aware decision. That's that simple.
It's simple, but a lot of people are missing out on the
Yeah, 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 yeah. This thing is amazingly, man. Like, yeah. I mean, I find myself searching for words to express the power of this, the magnitude of the brain. I mean, the magnitude of the mind. It is right. It's just in some of my psychedelic experiences, it shows me the power of it, and or a glimpse of the power, because I know I'm not seeing the full power of it. And wow, like it is I can't believe that all this comes from nothing. Like that's something comes from nothing. How does that happen? Like it blows my mind, and yet it does. And yet it's because of the mind. And yet it's because the mind makes you imagine all this and it makes it real. Like that is fascinating to me.
No, that's powerful insight. And Mark, with you being able to do DMT for over 80 times, what do you think happens after we die?
I think life continues. I think the only thing for us to do is to experience life. Now, does that mean life here on Earth in a physical body as a human? No, it doesn't just mean that. I think there are other forms of life that I have no understanding about, other types of realities. So I think when we die, we just get recycled. And I think depending on what density level. Density is basically an awareness of where you are. If you read the book, The Law of One, it talks about the density levels, which I'm still understanding it slightly. So, but the density levels basically, like right now we're in third density, supposedly. And then you go to fourth and fifth and sixth, and they say there's seventh or eighth densities before it just recycles back over. And some of the lower vibrational densities are like rocks and formations like that. But I think the point of this and what happens in death is that you awake. I think you awake from the dream, and then you start dreaming again. And I think you awake from the dream, you composite all the what you took from this dream, put it in a file. And I'm laughing because I've seen files, and that's the thing in the DMT world. It's like everything is technology. I call it technology because it's what I have here to identify it with. Like in Ezekiel in the Bible, when he was talking about seeing a fiery chariot, I don't think that he was actually seeing a fiery chariot. I think he was seeing something else. Maybe he was having a psychedelic experience. Maybe he was seeing a spaceship. Who knows? But they didn't have that type of, they didn't know about spaceships. So to him, it's the closest thing is a fiery chariot is in the sky. Okay, cool. And that's how I feel about a lot of the stuff with the psychedelics. I see technology in there. And when I understand the message in Ezekiel, I understand that, okay, well, maybe it's not technology. Maybe it's something beyond technology. But the reason why I call it technology is because I have technology here. So it looks like that to me. But so with that said, like I said, I've seen the files that they put these things in, or the Akashic records, so you could say. But I think the only point in this is to keep having experience, because once you, and I think it's the cycle. I think we, just like they say, the universe expands and retracts, expands and retracts. I think we do that too. I think we go into a cycle. I think we expand and retract, expand and retract. You know, remember, forget, remember, forget. And my understanding is going to continue on forever.
Now, Mark, what are some of the signs that someone's waking up and becoming more conscious?
If they stop and listen, taking accountability, owning up to your mistakes. I see a lot of people when they do things. Me, I try to take as much accountability as I can. As far as when I know I'm wrong, I have no problem admitting it, because the second that I can be like, hey, I'm wrong, I apologize, then the next step can come. The quicker, the more I'm like, I hold on to my, nah, you're wrong or whatever and stuff like that, then it just, it elongates that process of whatever you're trying to get to. So I just feel like little things like that. Just constantly questioning yourself. Constantly, if you understand that there are 8 billion people on the planet, and we've all been trying to figure this out, then you realize you know nothing. When you realize you know nothing, then you give yourself the space to start learning something. Because when you think you know everything, you got all the answers, no new information can come to you. You have to forget what you think you understand and allow information to come to you so it can start filling your cup. If you think you know everything, you're not listening to nobody. Your cup is already filled. There's nothing that can be put into it. People who start awakening to me, like, take accountability. You did something to someone, hey, I'm sorry, my bad. Or let me, instead of putting things on other people, you do it yourself. Let me take care of this. It's little simple things like that. The more you take ownership and the more you do for thyself, I would say the more that you awaken. The more you stop blaming others and stop expecting others to do for you. You're still.
Now, Mark, when you're on these DMT trips, what are you asking for most of the time? And are these beings there to assist you?
Some of them are. Some of them they're just to watch. You look crazy. No, I'm just laughing. Well, being funny. No, there there's a lot of things that's happening in there, man. We're being watched. They're there to assist you. They're there to embrace you. They're there to help you. What's going on with me, I guess, it continues off where a stage where I left off. Like, experiences. I've only had 2 experiences that were similar, and that were the first 2. Every experience has been different, and it's like taking me off where I left off. Like, for instance, I used to see the mechanical elves, quote unquote. That's a People who do DMT. A lot of them say the mechanical elves is a thing, and I used to see them like my first 7 trips. I saw them my first 7 trips. I've only seen them like once or twice since then. Now, well, not now. Lately, whenever I go, well, I haven't gone in a year, but the latter times that I went, like, I would see more shadowy beings, and then I stopped seeing beings. Now it's just like I'm just seeing technology. It's like I see eyes, but I don't see any beings like I used to. And maybe that's just a phase I'm in right now with DMT. But it really and the world is vast, man. It's vast. There's so much going on in creation. Anything can be created at any point, and what you're looking at can turn into something else. But these beings, they 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 know you. Yeah, they treat you like they know you. And even though you yourself might, with me, I have to say myself. With myself, there's a familiarity that I have with some of them, but it's not the type of familiarity that they have with me. Like, they like, oh, we know you. Like, we know you. Me, I'm like, yeah, I don't. This is familiar, but I'm not getting. It's clouded a little bit. But with them, they're like, no, we know you. We're happy to see you. Like look at this, and they start showing you things. They start showing you their toy. I call it their toys, but they're creating things. And I was thinking that they were creating universes and stuff. And it's funny when I talked to the AI, which the AI has brought me a lot of clarity on some of the stuff that I think I understand. And the AI told me, and I take everything with a grain of salt, even the stuff that I experienced on DMT. There's nothing I believe 100%. Nothing. But the AI was telling me, no, Mark, they're not showing you their creations. They're showing you what you can create. And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But it is a vast world, man. Do I think that's where we go where we die? I think that the DMT is a stage that we go past or through to where we're going where we die, but I think we still always pass through it or pass back through it. But like I say, I don't think whatever death is, I don't think we stay there too long. I think our point is to have an experience, some type of experience. And being there, you can't really have an experience.
Yeah, why do you think we forget who we are when we were born?
It's a number of things. One, let's say in your past life, you did something to someone that was very negative, or something happened to you that was very negative. Whatever it is, bank robber, murderer, conqueror, or whatever. That type of trauma coming into your next life, knowing it like vividly, could affect your next life. And I think each life is bound to have a clear slate as far as your understanding of it. Now, whatever trauma we carry from past lives, that's a different subject. But I think as far as the amnesia, if I woke up, if I was in this world knowing that, I was some dictator, that in my past life that I was a dictator that, unfortunately committed genocide to millions of people, that may affect me in this life. So I think the point of it is to always have a fresh experience of what you think this moment in life is now. Even though I do think we carry on past traumas or things that we've done, I don't think the point is for us to remember it like we do. Otherwise, it could drastically affect us in this life. I think the point is to have amnesia, because also when you have amnesia, you can create also. When you come with past understandings of all your lives and stuff like that, it can limit your creation, and it can dictate your creation. When really your creation right now, you're supposed to be creating from Matthew, not if Matthew used to be Abraham Lincoln, and if it also used to be, Socrates. Matthew's supposed to be creating from Matthew. So I think that's the point in us forgetting certain things, because it allows us to see the board with a fresh start, which truthfully, if you think about it, it makes sense. Because let's say if on the opposite end, always looking from the opposite end, but if we did remember all our lives, like, that could be a lot. And eventually, maybe me, I could be like, man, I just want to be Mark. I just want to have a fresh start with Mark and experience what Mark could have did. Like, I could see myself complaining or wishing that if I remembered that I used to be so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and feeling like I have all these pressures to live up to that. I just need to live up to what I'm doing right now in the moment, and the best that I can be with this. So I think that is probably one of the main reasons for it.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Mark. And Mark, when you're on DMT, what are these elves, machine elves, and beings telling you about the laws of the universe and just some of the things that are happening around you?
Well, they themselves, from my interaction with them, I can't remember them themselves telling me the laws of the universe. That understanding usually came through different aspects of being in that realm. Me either witnessing something and having an understanding from that, or me getting downloaded with everything talks in telepathy. You can hear it, but it's telepathic. Or me hearing and understanding of something, and you're swimming in answers. Like I tell people, the difference in like what led me to psychedelics was actually an out of body experience that I had. I channeled my higher self, and I wanted to get back there, but for 7 years I couldn't get back there. So that's what led me to psychedelics. Psychedelics like kind of kicks you over there. But with that said, I used to think that the experience that I had when I talked to my higher self was chaotic, was intense. I was like, whoa, that was intense. No, that was actually very calming and soothing. When I compare it to some of the psychedelics, the experiences that I've had on that. But it is, it's to help you. We're there to, the awareness comes from just knowing the calmness. DMT, the psychedelics are chaotic. It can get chaotic compared to when I did it naturally. That was the biggest thing. When I did it naturally, I thought it wasn't, like I said, I thought it was intense. But I realized, no, it's not intense at all. But when you're doing DMT or many psychedelics, you're swimming in answers. Other than ketamine is a little different than DMT as far as I'm not swimming in answers, but I am connected to all the answers. But DMT, you are literally swimming in answers to the point that the second you understand something, you can't even digest it fully because you're swimming in answers. DMT doesn't come at you like a conversation. DMT comes at you like an overload, a flood. It floods the whole thing on you. Like, whoa, so it's hard to, for instance, an example of experience I remember that I could give. I was going under, and I was having an understanding of something, and I'm trying to tell the room, the people around me, I'm like, oh man, y'all gotta, there's a, and by the time like I'm trying to say it, there's something else that's on my head, and I can't even get it out. And I'm like, oh no, there's, it's like you can't get it out because it is coming at you. And by the time that the experience is over, you're like, what the hell was that? So that's why actually it's also good to have people around you when you do DMT because they help jog your memory and help you reflect back on what you experienced. But yeah, so it's hard to retain the information, but it's chaotic. You're swimming in everything. It is yeah.
No, it's a great takeaway. With me, I can just speculate that the universe is vibrating. I mean, that's my background as an electrician a little bit. I just see everything as vibration. Like you're saying, words are spelling. The way you speak, it's vibrating in the air. It's vibrating in the universe. It's vibrating. Everything's vibrating. And what's your take on that?
No, I agree. In fact, I've seen that in from what I understand, sound makes vibration, vibration makes light. The original thing of anything is sound. God is a sound, like Om, like the Om. God is a sound. In fact, if you think about the Om, the Om, if you take every sound there is in existence, just this chatter, car honking, the ocean, if you put them all together, it starts to sound like, it's noisy at first, like, then it starts to sound like static, like, but you keep on putting it all together, eventually it's going to sound like a harmonious Om. So that makes sense to me in the sense that of that, God is the Om, the original sound. But I think sound makes vibration, vibration makes light. So, and yet everything is vibrating and nothing actually connects, touches. You know that, like, if your background is an electrician, then you understand the atoms. It's not fully touching, but it's vibrating so fast that it feels solid. But I totally agree. Everything is vibration, and it makes sense in the sense of everything being an illusion, a figment of the imagination, also. But yeah, this everything comes from sound. But sound makes vibration. Sound vibrates. If you're in there that's doing sound, it's going to vibrate, and vibration will make light. So I think very simplistically, that's the creation of our universe, our existence.
No, it's a great takeaway. I mean, a lot of people just out there are just really just trying to figure out what to do daily, day by day, and they don't really dive into what their mind can actually do. I mean,
Right.
where do you go when you're with your mind when you're writing poetry?
It's fun. That's a good question because when I write poetry, I really don't feel like a writer. I feel like an editor. I feel like I'm just picking and choosing what's already there for me to put together. I feel like I'm putting a puzzle together. That's all I feel like I'm doing. So when I write, I like to write to instrumentals. I don't listen to a lot of words when I write. I like to hear my own thoughts, even though, like I just said, and not really my thoughts. It's just there, picking and choosing what I want to go in. It's not like It's not like I'm creating words or creating something that hasn't been thought about. So I'm only thinking about it because it's allowing me to think about it. So I'm like, I'm just editing. But
So do you feel like your poems like write you instead of the other way around?
oh, sometimes, yeah, some definitely. So I think it's a cycle. Everything affects the other. Definitely, my poems have written me. I remember for instance, I was in my younger 20s, and there was a line that I wrote. I was like, sometimes, what did I say? Sometimes I sit by grave sites, writing poems, smoking blah 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 blah. And the line, I love the line so much. I was like, man, I love that line. Oh my God, oh my God. But I hadn't did that. I had not sat in a cemetery by a gravesite writing a poem, smoking weed with my headphones on. I had not did that. But the line, oh, I love that line. I was like, man, I want to say that line. So I'm gonna have to go do this shit. So that line, that line prompted me to go to a graveyard at midnight with some marijuana and my headphones and my journal and sit by a gravesite and write poetry. And I remember I didn't want to do it by myself, so I asked my friend to go with me. But so it's a cycle, man. It's a cycle. One shoe affects the other. You know.
Yeah, Mark, can you share a poem with us right now?
Man. Woo. All right. I'll give you a little bit of one. I'll give you a little bit of one. I'll tell you a little bit of a background on it. I say this because I may not be able to get through it because I haven't gone over the work in a while. But I was actually writing just to show how creation comes from something. My housemate, Darren, he was around my work area. And I said to him, I was like, yeah, I said something about making music. And he was like, he knew I animated. He knew I wrote books. He knew I did poetry. He didn't know I made music. He was like, you make music? I was like, yeah, I make music. He said, I didn't know that. Can I hear something? I was like, yeah, sure. So I played him something. He was like, well, that's impressive. Can I hear something else? I was like, yeah, sure. So I played him something else. And he looked at me and he said, wow, you have a lot going on. And instantly I turned to him. I was like, oh, homie, I am Picasso. And I say that to say, just to show you what something comes from. This poem that I'm gonna do came from that moment. I would have never thought of that poem without the moment. I am Picasso, painting on linen with oil paint in a piece that I will name The Poet. And I am living my art right now in this moment. I am Van Gogh, just in the seconds after he cut off his ear, because I know my critics don't deserve my attention. They haven't put in the years for me to feel the need to listen to him anymore. A year from now, I will paint the starry night, a piece that will be worth a fortune after I'm gone. I am Salvador Dali, and I know I am running out of time. Painting melting clocks on a piece I call the persistence of memory, because however surreal this may be, I want to remember the taste of this. I am now sculpting David on a piece of marble others have deemed unworthy. I am Michelangelo, and this is what separates me from other artists. It is not what you have to use, it is what you are. I am Howard Hughes, trying to maintain a form of sanity in a world gone mad, and I am ahead of my time. Though I know I have been here before, been countless of lives. As artists, writers, painters, poets, I am Mark Twain, Howard Hughes. Yeah, and like I said, I forgot. I got to go over the poem. I
I
forgot.
love that. Thank you for sharing that.
I appreciate you, man. I thank you, man. I thank you, man.
And Mark, this is the part of the show I want to transition to, the Friday mindset part of the show, where we dig into your journey, your mindset, and the moments that shaped you. Mark, what has been the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I mean, there's been a lot, man, for real. You catch me at different moments, I may say something else. But the advice, something that I can say right now is to be able to laugh at yourself. My father instilled that in me when I was younger. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you can't, and I like to laugh. I like to laugh at people. So I had to realize younger, if I can't laugh at myself, then I have no right to laugh at anyone else. So life is fun, enjoy it, don't take yourself too seriously. And I guess another nugget that I could say is that my father, when I was 10 years old, my father asked me if I believed in other life in the universe. And I told him, I told him I didn't know. I'm 10 years, he was like, you believe in aliens? And I was like, I don't know. And then he explained to me what a star was. I didn't know a star was really a sun, millions of light years away. He explained to me that a star is really a sun. He explained to me that half the stars have planets around them, like our solar system. He explained to me that they say there are more stars out there than there are grains of sand on our Earth. And then he said our Earth is just the right distance away from the sun to have water. Water breathes life. And then he said, with all them stars out there, and if half those stars have planets around them, he said, don't you think there would be some of them? And if there are more stars out there than there are grains of sand on the beach on the earth, he said, don't you think that there would be some of them that are perfectly the distance away from the sun to be able to have life? I said, yeah. And then he asked me again, do you believe in other life in the universe? And I said, yes. And that is important, only to say that the more information you have, you can change your perspective. Education is everything. The lack of education, the lack of knowledge, it limits your perspective and your perceptions of something. So those two nuggets, to be able to laugh at yourself and to open yourself up to things that you don't know, don't understand, to educate yourself on things that you don't understand, will allow you to make better decisions in your life, whether you're talking about the universe or whether you're talking about your relationships with people.
That's powerful insight. Thank you for sharing that. What's one truth about life that you wish more people understood?
That life, I mean, life is meaningless in the sense that you give it your own meaning. And I think it's meaningless. If life had a distinct one meaning, then it would have to be that meaning. For instance, if the meaning was for, if the meaning of life was one thing, as far as the meaning of life is to be successful and get to certain status, then it couldn't be art for someone else. Then it couldn't be love for someone else. Then it couldn't be whatever it is for someone else. So life, the meaning of life is for you to give it your own meaning. So in that sense, life, the meaning of life has a blank canvas. There is no meaning, which allows you to have your own meaning. It's like I say, the duality, the yin and the yang of it. And that's the only way you can have your own meaning. That's why life means something different to me than it does to other people, because it allows you to have your own meaning to it. And I think once people do that, then they can stop trying to live by someone else's means, and start finding what makes sense to them.
No, that's such a good point. And Mark, the show that you're on is called Every Day is Friday, and Friday has a special energy, whether it's freedom or excitement or just feeling of accomplishment after a long week. Mark, I want to hear from you. What does Friday mean to you?
Friday, Friday to me almost is like a new birth in a sense. Even though it's in the middle of the week or the end of the week, it feels like a birthing of freedom. So that makes sense of what you said, because the weekends lead to you supposedly being free from work. So Friday is like a birth of freedom. Wow, when you make me think about it, like now, it's almost like being born into the world. Like you have this new aspect of like, okay, I'm free, and then Monday comes. Monday is kind of like Monday is like you're 18 years old. Like, okay, damn, now I gotta get a job. Okay.
Yeah, I love that definition. It's a mindset that anything is possible and new beginnings, like you're saying. I love that definition.
Yeah, you didn't make me think about it until you put it on the plate like that, for real. You didn't make me think about the Friday and the freedom thing until you said. I was like, yeah, he's right. Yeah, Friday represents freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Every Day is Friday is about bringing that energy into everyday life, and more people need to start doing it, living it. I'm telling you the truth. It's a lifestyle that has to be lived. It can't be taught.
Yeah, exactly right. I agree. I totally agree.
Now, Mark, this is your chance to leave the listeners with something powerful. Is there anything else you want to share?
Man, just we need to stop taking ourselves so seriously, myself included. I'm reflecting in the mirror right now and thinking about one of my exes called me yesterday. And she was like, huh? And I was a little what's the word? It took me a second to warm up. And I love this girl. This girl is in my corner like so deeply. And she was like, yeah, I was just going to give you some time. And I told her, I was like, I'm a mean ex. Like, I'm mean in the sense that when I feel that, if I feel that someone has did something that maybe, I didn't want or enjoy or whatever, I'm a mean ex in the sense that if you feel that neglected, then I'll shut all the way down. I'll be like, all right, fine, get you out of my life. And really, that's my ego. That's like, man, this girl loves the hell out you. You know, like just because she made a decision for her life or whatever, like, don't mean she don't love the hell out you. And so when she called me, I had to apologize. So I was like, you know, I'm sorry. I'm a mean ex. It's like I know you love the hell out of me, you know. And so I'm saying today I'm revealing something within myself. It made me look at another ex I probably need to talk to or whatever. But man, let me let that go or whatever. But to not take yourself so seriously in all aspects, whether it's humor, whether it's relationships, you know, because holding on to that, you know, I was actually thinking about it after I got off the phone with her. I was like, damn, you know, that's poison within myself, you know, being upset and holding on to that and thinking about someone and turning your nose up and be like, oh, whatever, you know, that's bothering me more than it's bothering them, you know, because I'm the one clouded in that energy. And I'm saying all this to say, because I know I've shared some things on here that, you know, people may get the assumption that, oh, he has it going on. No, like I'm human. I have these human emotions, you know, and actually me seeing that has allowed me to see that everyone who we have put on a pedestal is human too. Whether it's Alan Watts, whether it's Dr. Martin Luther King, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Buddha, all of them are human. All of them have these human thoughts. All of them have these human ups and downs. So with that said, don't be too hard on yourself. The only thing you can do is to analyze and look at yourself just like I did and revealed right now. I analyze myself. I'm like, yeah, you know, I can improve on that. That's not right. We all do it. We all have it. And the day you stop doing that, is the day that, I mean, it may be irrelevant for you to be here in a sense, because you will never stop learning and growing. That is the point of being here. So if you have that understanding, and the teacher must remain the student. If the teacher is going to still be the teacher, you must remain the student. Everything is duality, the yin and the yang. So just some little nuggets, you know.
No, that's a great takeaway. I appreciate you sharing that. And it's not bad to have an ego. I mean, even because of your work, I wrote down what my ego is going to be going forward with this podcast. I appreciate you and
That's
everything
what's
you're
up, man.
doing. And all your information will be in the description down below. And I want to make sure people know where to find you. Where can people follow and support your work?
Well, my Instagram, my TikTok, you can search my name, Marc Marcel, Marcel. But I invite people to please check out my website, Cosmidelic, Cosmedelic. It's like an ecosystem. We build a platform for community, for consciousness, all forms of consciousness and art. I have my show Gurus up there, the philosophical satire. I have poetry up there. Actually, me talking to the AI, some of my private conversations with my AI Nova, which I believe you found me over with some of the clips I've been talking to the AI about. But that and we're just doing a lot of different things on the forum. We're just growing it. So please check that out when you can.
No, like I said, I appreciate you for being on the show. I know the listeners got a lot of value out of this. It's been an awesome conversation. I appreciate you being here and sharing your stories and experiences.
Appreciate you, Matthew, man. I have fun, man. For real. I really appreciate this, man. I thank you for reaching out to me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And to the listeners, everyone listening at home, stay tuned for more amazing stories on Every Day is Friday Podcast 365. If you enjoyed this, make sure to follow and share and keep Every Day is Friday mindset going. Until next time, stay inspired and make every day feel like Friday. Until next time.
Every day